Good day. My name is Christine Miller, a student at the California Intercontinental University. Today, I will be presenting on chi-square analysis. Our agenda for today is that we will look at the sample that's been tested. We will see what a chi-square test is. We'll look on the significance of Kramer's V, and then we'll do an analysis of the data set that was provided. Then we look on the takeaways, and then we have any questions. The sample was taken from the Midwestern region of the USA. Questions were asked in relation to level of comfort, number of car payments, number of credit card payments, and number of defaults. Chi-square measures the expected outcome against the actual outcome to determine the relationship between the variables. When is it used? It is used when the sample is random, when the variables are categorical, when the null hypothesis has been rejected, when the variables are mutually exclusive, and finally, when the data is exhaustive. Kramer's V is used to determine the strength of the relationship between the variables. Once the Kramer's V has been calculated, which can be done by using a statistical program such as PSPP, the strength is determined by using a table such as this. The table moves from a strength of association of 0, which shows that there is no relationship to consider, to 1, which is a perfectly symmetric relationship. This is very rare, as this means that the independent variable perfectly predicts the dependent variable. The first chi-square test is in relation to car payments and defaults. The null is that there is no relationship between the number of car payments and the number of defaults incurred, while the alternative is that there is a relationship between the number of car payments and the number of defaults incurred. The results showed that the p-value was 0.351, which is greater than alpha. Therefore, no relationship emerged. As a result, the null hypothesis has to be accepted. The second hypothesis test is between defaults and level of comfort. The null hypothesis is that there is no relationship between the number of defaults incurred and the level of comfort, while the alternative is that there is a relationship between the number of defaults incurred and the level of comfort. The results using PSPP was that the p-value was 3.51. This is greater than alpha, which meant that there is no relationship. As a result, the null hypothesis has to be accepted, as there is no relationship between the number of defaults incurred and the level of comfort. The third and final hypothesis test is with car payments and the level of comfort. The null is that there is no relationship between the number of car payments and the level of comfort, while the alternative is that there is a relationship between the number of car payments and the level of comfort. The results showed that the p-value was equal to 0.000, which is less than alpha of 0.05. Therefore, there is a relationship between the number of car payments and the level of comfort. The chi-square was calculated at 450, given a sample size of 150 and a degree of freedom of 9. Kramer's V was also calculated, and it came out as 1, which means that it is a perfectly symmetric relationship. And now we look at the important takeaways. 1. Software such as PSPP is used by researchers for ease of analyzing statistics. 2. When alpha is set at 0.05, a relationship is determined to exist if p is less than 0.05. If this happens, then the null hypothesis is rejected. 3. If a relationship is found to exist, the strength of the relationship is determined by using Kramer's V. 4. Depending on the value calculated for Kramer's V, the strength can be found using a table which has the interpretation of the value V. Fifth, a perfectly symmetrical relationship exists between the number of car payments and the level of comfort, as V is equal to 1. This was seen based on the tests that were conducted. Sixth and finally, when V is equal to 1, the researcher has to be cautious, as this is a very rare situation. Thank you for listening to this presentation today. And now I will answer any questions.